Today's meeting may be recorded, and this recording will be broadcast on the authority's website and may be used for training purposes by the Democratic Services Department. We haven't had any requests from anybody online, so that doesn't apply today. So we'll go straight to the agenda.
Chair, I believe Councillor Preston obviously may have got his here today.
Yes,
Yes.
well, I got it down as apologies. Yeah. I'm just going to say apologies for absence. We've got Councillor Jill Preston and Claire Little. That's the apologies we've received.
Chair, just to mention, I've got to leave at 4:30. Right. I do apologise.
Okay. Item 2, any declarations of interest, as you see it there. Members are reminded they must identify the item number and subject matter that their interest relates to and signify the nature of the personal interest. And B, where members withdraw from a meeting as a consequence of the disclosure of a prejudicial interest, they must notify the chair when they leave. Item 3, that's the forward work programme. So we'll go through it. And if anybody's got any views on the forward work programme, it's only on the agenda as the first item today, as with all the scrutiny committees, to agree the forward work programme, and from here on in, it'll be lower down the agenda. So you see the 15th of July, we got the advertising policy on here, and the workshop is going to be held in
Committee Room 1.
Committee Room 1, immediately following the closure of this committee. 16th of September, see the item there? Yes. We've had a request, only yesterday, wasn't it, from Alan Dinham. There's a policy there for
aggression and violence.
That's right, aggression and violence. And he's asked if it's possible for this to come to one of the scrutiny committees. As you know, we got one item there for the 16th of September. Has anybody got any views or any reasons why we shouldn't have that on the agenda for the 16th?
We need to go, Chair. Simple as that.
Right. Are you all happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll add that to it. And just while we're talking about the forward work programme, I've had a request from Anne Taylor. She wants to, because this scrutiny committee will also be the same members on the Democratic Services Committee. So we'll have to tie in a Democratic Services Committee at one of them after we've completed this agenda. I think she's got something like 2 items that she wants the Democratic Services, and they have to have one at least one a year anyway. Just for you to know. Neil and I are going to talk to Anne to agree what date that will take place. Okay? 16th of October.
Chair.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, Gary's first and then yourself.
Just a question.
16th of September, the quarterly performance report. Have officers put anything together yet for us to understand what we may be getting for that particular report? I assume it'll be quarter one, obviously, which will be to see exactly what we like to receive and what we can expect presented or we can question. It's just a question regarding format, nothing else, Chair.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. So officers are working on it at the moment. So I think we explained previously that it'll be a combined report. So we'll be bringing to you, sort of in line with best practice performance information on our sort of wellbeing objectives. our sort of new annual development plan that we took an outline to council to in June, our finance information and our risk information. We've looked at other formats. We've looked at what other local authorities do in terms of their performance report, so this, we'd be happy to take comments on the overall format, but I think this is the first time that we've done this. Grateful for any members' comments on the format, and we are open to reviewing that and improving that as we go through. But you should have the sort of latest information on performance, the latest information on finance, and the latest information on corporate risk.
Chair, the only ask of that, probably it's likely to be quite a long report, and the time it will take up will be better in a workshop format rather than a presentation to the meeting. It's to present to the meeting, because if there's a lot of information to absorb, there'll be lots of questions. So it could go on a bit, and maybe in a better setting for a workshop. But it's only a question that I'm comfortable either way. It's just all we learn by the next one and see what we do for the one after.
Well, I would be happy to see it on the agenda and then take comments, if it's voluminous and it's going to take a lot of time, well, we'll have to determine what we deal with in future. Okay. Bill?
Yeah. And we looked at, because we had 4 scrutinies, now we're down to 3, or vice versa. The old scrutiny information we had, that we already detail out to be scrutinised, because neighbourhood isn't, I can't remember the names now, neighbourhood scrutiny, and we had a lot on the list to be sorted out to go through. So we've had the old scrutiny items out for us to discuss.
To answer the question, yes, we got a list there, haven't we, at the end of the forward work programme.
Yeah, and I think we run through the list in the planning session with the directors and cabinet members. But if the chair wants some members, we can arrange a separate session between the scrutiny members just to run through, double check that list if you wanted to.
Yeah, I would like to double check, because it's things that we discussed as a scrutiny panel.
Yeah.
And we should know what's been taken out and why it's been taken out. Or
are you talking about this new committee now, or one of the others?
Well, we're all in one committee, all new committees down there, so all the old ones that we had should come back to us for us to assess which ones we want to take forward.
Okay.
Chair, can I just come in briefly on that?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the remits stayed the same for the committees. Obviously, we did go from 5 to 4 in terms of the main scrutiny committees, and some of them obviously were combined then in terms of that specifically affected more the Thriving Committee. But Neil certainly amalgamated all of the additional items for consideration onto a long list, and we've gone through that for Thriving, which is the main committee that's affected by that. And I know that you've been involved in those discussions. But any items that are not picked up in the forward work plans and are still relevant will obviously either come back through to scrutiny and be considered, or will be part of a member's information briefing.
Okay. Gary?
Discussed last year that we were quite concerned about bringing forward. I think Sarah pointed out that at the time to be picked up by the quarter report on performance. So once I see that report, we know that if we've picked up items that we may have overlooked, such as the performance in customer services, was the one example where we want to see where they're progressing, where they're going, and I would like to think we'd pick that up as part of the quarterly performance report. And if anything's missing from there, then perhaps you can raise it as a separate item.
Yeah, okay. Right, so you're on the 16th of October, 18th, 20th, 24th, and just turn the page, 21st of April. Okay. That list we got, which is there's not many on it. You can send that out again, can't we? The additional list. All right, just to make sure that everybody's aware. Okay, if there's no other comments, views. Yeah, sorry, Sarah, I didn't realise.
That's okay, Chair, thank you. So just for members, just to be aware, at the last council meeting, Cabinet members said that we would be bringing the multi-location policy meeting policy back to scrutiny in advance of it going to full council. So we will work with Neil to diarise that sometime in the future dates, Chair, when there's space. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Now then, item 4, that's the draft advertising policy. Consider the attached report, pages 15 to 24. You've got it there. And then we also had background papers from 2 authorities, which were examples of their advertising policies. Kerry is going to introduce it, and I think Adam Richards is then going to go through it, if you wish to.
Any questions that are raised, you're to support Kerry.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, Chair. As you'll see, the report is self-explanatory. The report is about developing a concept to adopt an advertising policy for the local authority. Over the years, there's been pockets of advertising done across different service areas. I mean, we've seen like advertising through lamppost banners, a regeneration do, design and print would work with external companies to put advertising on roundabouts, bus backs, etc. But we've never really had a policy for that. So we can agree, obviously, how we deliver advertising across our county borough. Adam may be able to add a bit more light at this because he was at the meeting, not myself. So at a commercial governance meeting last month, a discussion took place about an opportunity to tender for an advertising partner to support the provision of digital advertising, which potentially would bring income stream to the county borough. As we said, I mean, the purpose of this is to make sure that we, as a local authority, wherever advertising is out there, that it's done under the remit of the legal and in line, obviously, with any promotional requirements that we want to deliver as a local authority in line with our corporate objectives. I think that's all. If there's any questions, I mean, the examples on there are what Adam had done some research on, with one which was Neath Talbot and the other one which was Haringey, is it?
Haringey, yep.
Yeah. And the other attachment on there is the tender process that we would need to follow.
Okay. If I could just put it into context. Is that one there?
It's right. Yeah, it's right.
If I can just put it into context, Kerry's explained it very well there. But as mentioned, we're looking to generate an income generating scheme through using council assets for advertising partners to utilise. So we won't be actually placing the adverts ourselves. We'll just be providing the platform for our appointed partners to advertise through. And the reason that we're looking for advertising partners is obviously because they have a vast network of international and national clients that they're dealing with on an ongoing basis, something that we wouldn't have access to as an in-house within the authority to do it ourselves. So we're looking to partner up. We're looking at a number of different lots or a number of different streams to utilise. The first being the use of digital screens. Now, Haringey we used as an example because they advertise, or they have these partnerships and they advertise quite extensively on the authorities' platforms, pulling in more than £1 million a year. Now, they have the benefit of, like, Tottenham Hotspur football pitch within their authority and some other major attractions that generate high footfall and high traffic areas that we haven't got that kind of exposure here. But we're quite confident that we can attract some advertising partners by offering different areas for them to use advertising through digital screen media. As part of the tendering process as well, we're also trying to incorporate some social value by asking for free use of those digital platforms for ourselves as a council, so that we can get allocated a percentage of the time to carry out our own communication through the channel as well. So the objectives are, one, to create an income generating stream, either through a profit share through the advertising revenue, or just through leasing the site for them to utilise, and also the social value element that I've just mentioned for us to utilise the platform for ourselves. So what we've tried to do, and the reason for the policy, is we are trying to create guidelines for any partners that we engage with to make it clear to us as an authority what is acceptable and what is not acceptable to be displayed on those outlets, on those platforms.
Thank you. Before bringing Gary, the number one question from myself, and I'm sure officers must have got some idea, how much income do you think you might be able to draw in the first 12 months?
Well, you say we must estimate. Sorry. Yeah, we don't actually know what the opportunity is. That's the reason for going out to tender, to find out what the value could be for the assets that are on offer.
Will our own website be used? Our own, the county councils?
Not for this particular lot.
Right.
The initial lot will just be for digital media, right. Digital advertising boards. Oh, right. We will look then to provide further lots for tender processes, which could include, the website, right. Social media, and then perhaps a follow-up then with transport related, which would be roundabouts, verges, county signs, bridges, car parks. So we're trying to put specific lots together, because what we found when we went out to the market was there wasn't one partner that covered all eventualities. There seemed to be pockets of expertise out there. So the first one that we've identified, which we believe would have the biggest potential, is with digital advertising boards.
Is there any local authority not a million miles away already doing this successfulully?
RCT do it, Cardiff do it. Cardiff have gone back out to tender recently, and they're hoping to pull in 5.7 million over a 10 to 12 year agreement for their advertising for the Cardiff. But obviously they've got some areas of quite significantly high footfall and traffic areas, a lot higher than what we've got to offer. But they range from sort of expectation of 600,000, 750,000 for some sites, down to around 150,000 over 12 years for other sites, which are sort of less popular areas. So I think we'd be more in line with if I was honest, with the £150,000, £120,000 sites over the 10-12 year period of the contract.
Okay. Gary first, and then comes to the Bill Smith.
A couple of questions, Chair, clarification. Reference is made in 3.1 to the commercial governance. Who is that? Who attends? And what's his function?
Commercial Governance Board, Gary, is it?
Yes, Chair, just the usual thing, as people from outside, when reports come forward, make reference to other parties, other meetings, there's no explanation who they are, what happens. So it happened first time I came in, these new groups are set up, what's their remit basically?
Yeah, okay, so there is a terms of reference for that group that we could share with the group afterwards, if that would be helpful.
That's fine.
That is supported by the commercial team, and the Director of Finance sits on there, the Chief Executive sits on there, the Director of Governance and Resources, which is myself, sit on there, and the legal advisor, there's a legal advisor to the committee as well.
So officer group?
Yes,
right.
yes.
Okay, thank you. And Chair, just a question, is this policy part of, I think Neath Port Talbot referred to their wider income generation strategy? No, I assume they must have got one there somewhere. Is this now going to be part of a wider income generation strategy for Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council?
The answer is yes. There is we have a draft income generation strategy that's due to come before
Friday?
Cabinet. Is it next month after?
Right.
So yeah,
Will that be scrutiny first, then cabinet, or straight to cabinet?
yes. I'm not quite sure of the procedure, which level it goes to first, but there has been there is a draft of the commercial strategy that's been created.
Thank you, Chair. And the supporting document, roles and responsibilities, advertising leads. Who would these people be? Have they been identified? Because I'm trying to get an understanding of what we're trying to achieve with the policy.
Yeah, for the ongoing operation of the policy, it's going to be a sort of run on a day-to-day basis to corporate comms.
Right. Just the comms, nobody else. Just comms.
No, obviously with other service areas as well. For example, we'd have to work with our highways departments. We'd have to work with our estates departments with regard to assets, etc. And legal.
So you'd have advertising leads within those departments to liaise with when it comes to the policy.
Yes.
And right, thank you, Chair. And just one more to finish off, Chair. We refer to income generation, millions of pounds in Cardiff, etc., etc. We're now down to a more manageable £120,000 for the length of our contract, which is 10 years, £12,000 a year. You know, it all helps at the end of the day. So it's imagine how are we going to measure success with regards to this policy and where we take it forward, and will it become part of the quality review process of reporting back on advertising space, advertising numbers, more importantly what cash is coming in, and whether it's worth persevering with it if there's no cash coming in. So it's just a question for the future for reporting back, Chair. Basically, I'll send my questions, Chair.
Sorry, can I take that? Yeah, there is the measurements were all captured in the concept report. You're quite right. Obviously, the first and foremost will be the income that's generated, and secondly, as I mentioned previously, would be the amount of time that we're allocated for social value, for us to do our own communication through. That will be the second one, and the third one for us would be how many local businesses are taking the opportunity also to utilise that platform, and we ourselves can perhaps help local business to use that platform through any time that's allocated to us as well.
Yeah. Chair, that leads just to follow on from there. Who will be within the authority be chasing these people outside to get the business coming in?
That would be myself through the commercial stream.
Is that commercial? Is that the old procurement? What is that? That commercial in its own right, or procurement?
Procurement, is it?
Well, yes, procurement.
I've got my old hat on, see, sorry. So yeah. I've got to understand procurement, right, okay.
Yeah, commercial and procurement, we're under one department.
Okay, thank you.
Single department now.
Thank you. Well. Thank you, Chair.
Just before I bring in Councillor Smith, the commercial services strategy, I think it might be an idea if it is considered by the Scrutiny Committee beforehand, wherever it goes then, whether it's Cabinet or straight to Council, because I think we've got an interest as a Scrutiny Committee for that. And one point that Gary brought up is reviewing the workings of this advertising policy. We did discuss that in our pre-meet. The timing, I don't know if this all goes through by the council eventually, what date you've got in mind when it's going to start, and to have a review evaluation. How long do you think it should be? 6 months, 9 months, or longer to evaluate how it's working? Anyone?
Well, I think the original setup, the time that we'd have for the introduction of specifically the digital one, bearing in mind it would have to go through planning, etc., for the erection of any digital platform.
Yes.
We'd be talking probably 6 months, and then I would probably like to see a review after 3 months to make sure that we're happy with the income that's being generated.
So that I get it clear, with planning and anything else, it may be 6 months before you really start getting going. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got to carry out. So obviously, we've got to get this policy in place first of all, and the next step would be then go through a tender process.
Yeah.
And then after the tender process, it's the obviously the assessment of the tenderers' returns, and then placing a contract, and that would then start with you know, visiting the planning for any potential locations, getting those locations installed. So it's quite a lengthy, it's quite a lengthy period of time to get it in place.
Fair enough. So perhaps when that's all done and dusted and we've started it, would it be better perhaps to review it after 6 months fully working, or do you want to do it here?
I think we could probably have a review once we're ready to go with the tenderer to have an idea of what the income return can be, and then, you know, either as a quarterly monitor,
right,
or a monthly monitor to see how the. I suppose we've got two alternatives as mentioned earlier on. We've got an income share possibility of the advertising, which is potentially a higher return, but it's also got an element of risk to it, because if nobody wants to advertise in Merthyr, then we're not going to get anything. I think the safer element may be to lease the space out, where we've got a constant return and we know what we're going to get from it, which would be a pretty safe, a far safer option.
Okay, so the actual review time, you obviously discussed it with Gary and Sarah,
And we'll bring
and come
something
back
up.
to us.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill.
Well, I read the policy and I think the idea is good for us to get extra revenue. But there's certain things that we've got to double check, make sure that the guidelines you got is right. The contract, the time, effort, the contract which you accept, and I think we're going to go for that. Biggest thing is the cost. How much money do we get in off these? Because these boys will work it when they, you know, we offer you 1,000 and they're making a lot more than that. That's the biggest bugbear. And audit, given an audit, are they in part of this set? Because we was in a meeting yesterday and they were checking out departments that money was coming in, funding was coming in, and they were picking up on certain things. So will they be involved with this when we have the price and everything else?
I think the report I think that you're referring to there, Councillor Smith, is the sort of commissioned services, wasn't it, that they brought to yesterday's committee. That wouldn't be part of this because it's not a service that we've commissioned yet. But I think depending on if the policy is agreed and we do go forward with this, either through the commercial governance group that I think does an annual report on progress against sort of commercial and procurement spend, or we will find a way of bringing that and the monitoring of that sort of contract or whatever contract is in place back to relevant scrutiny committees and full council, depending on on what's appropriate. But that commissioning services report yesterday from Audit Wales was a sort of a review of what was in place at that time in the council. But obviously the recommendations from that report, we want to make sure obviously that goes through any sort of services that we commission in the future.
Yeah, great to support you. On bottom line is, do we see the contractors before this goes to Cabinet or Council? It comes back here for us to have a look at it and discuss it and accept it.
But I don't know.
Well, you got to do guidelines, bits and pieces, for us to know what guidelines you're going to put in the list, didn't you?
Yeah, the majority of those guidelines and what we're trying to achieve are outlined in the tender document that was included.
Yeah, no problem. But just make sure everything's dotted and away to go.
Yeah, and and any contract entered into them would be subject to a contract review.
Okay, no problem.
Controls as well with periodic monitors and reviews.
Yeah, I'm happy.
And apart from various departmental officers, I'm sure our legal department will be going over those with a fine tooth comb before anything happens. Yeah. All right, Bill?
Yeah, no, great. Thank you.
Right. Any more questions? No? Any comments from any members?
I support it. Yeah, I support it for RD. He's taking it forward. Extra funding is for the local authorities. He's taking it forward.
I'm personally, I think that we might be a little bit surprised if you're talking about, I think you mentioned 120,000 quid a year.
No, it's £120,000 over the course
Sorry,
of the contract.
over the contract. You may find that there's more income than that coming in that you first anticipated.
Yeah, but we've got 3 or 4 sites that we've got 3 or 4 sites that we put together and discussed primarily with planning to make sure that those would be accessible sites for for utilisation. So we've got sort of 3 or 4 that we'll be putting forward as proposals within the tendering procedure.
Yeah, and well, I should have asked you this. It's in comments now, but do we know the next step is after you've ironed out all the other initial issues about planning, etc., whether this is going straight to council? Or hasn't that been decided?
We haven't discussed that yet, but I would think we'd have to go to
You, Declan?
Yeah, we'll consider the democratic process, Chair, but obviously any new policy would need to be adopted by full council. But whether or not there's any further consultation that we need to do in advance of that, we can let the committee know.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, and thank you as officers. You can stay with us to the end if you want to, or you can leave. Thank you both. And the next item is item 5, scrutiny referrals. Well, the only one we've had, as explained earlier, was from Alan Dinham for this violence and aggressive. We've all agreed that should be added. We haven't had any more, Neil, have we? No. Okay, item 6, feedback on scrutiny activities, any outstanding actions. We've got a workshop coming up. I can't think of anything else that we want to advise the members. No, I can't think of anything. Item 7, any other business deemed urgent by the Chair? I have none. Can I thank you all for your attendance at the Scrutiny Committee? And the workshop is in Committee Room 1. So all we've got to do is go straight in there to the workshop where Andrew and I don't know anybody else will be there. So it's just Andrew. It's going to go through it on yourself. Okay? Thank you.